All right, it's time for the Super Centex Podcast with Chad Conine and Michael Haig. Gentlemen, good to see y'all.
Likewise.
Happy week 3, yeah.
Happy week 3. We have been through 2 weeks already of the high school football season. This sucker goes fast. I mean, it feels like we were just writing preview capsules, and now we're
and I don't know about you guys, but it feels like the rhythm of football season has officially settled in. You know, like we're past previews, we're past Labor Day. We probably all got stuff done on Monday this week that we hadn't done that in several weeks, right?
Yeah.
My fantasy football team got the job done last night on Monday Night Football. You know, so now it's Tuesday.
There you go.
There we go.
And speaking of week 3, so perhaps we don't have a La Vega Salina top 5 state-ranked clash on the agenda this week. But I do think that week 3 shapes up as kind of a low-key banger. Got a lot of all-Central Texas matchups with some really good teams. So what games on this week's schedule do you think will reveal the most about the teams playing?
Chad, I almost picked the game you're going to. That was second on my list, but I actually think Robinson-Alvarado is a really interesting matchup. Obviously, Robinson playing up a division against a state-ranked team, but we've talked about Robinson a lot this year as being like they look pretty legit. They're beating up on teams that they should be beating up on. They've got a lot of firepower, and this is okay. It's like, okay, we're 2 weeks in. This is a state-ranked test now, and this is a really good opportunity for the Rockets to really make some noise. Like, is this a team that we can really look out for? We obviously think they're going to contend in that district, but, I mean, like, is this a team that we can lean on or expect to, go a couple rounds deep in the playoffs? This is a good test.
Right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brice. Yeah.
I was just going to say Alvarado's, of the teams they've played thus far, will be the best.
Certainly.
So far.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I kind of think, now this is going a little bit ahead in our script for the podcast, but, I think this game kind of sets up good for Robinson in one key factor. Alvarado, I guess, kind of fell victim to that whole storm situation in Dallas-Fort Worth last weekend. So they only got one game under their belt, and people talk about the improvements teams make from week 1 to week 2, but then Alvarado had a blank in that week 2, and how will that affect things? And how having 2 weeks off, are they going to commit penalties that Robinson has figured out how not to commit those penalties?
Yeah, I am going to address something Chad just said. We have a script in the sense that I tell y'all what topics we're going to cover so that you guys can do a little research for that. But just like a football game, sometimes you got to go off script. And obviously our remarks are very impromptu.
Everybody has a plan until I punch them in the mouth. Yeah.
Brice, I don't know if you had any other games that came to mind, but I was also going to bring up that Marlin-Chilton game. I mean, like Marlin entered the year state ranked, and a lot of people were expecting things out of them. Now, Marlin did graduate a ton of seniors, and we have kind of noticed, okay, Chilton's grown up a little bit. They're beating up on some teams too. They're really good.
On fire so far.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is kind of similar to Robinson. This is a good opportunity for Chilton to kind of keep making noise, but also, I mean, it's a realistic possibility for Marlin to start the year 0-3. I mean,
could not agree more. I could not agree more. I think that's that shapes up as a very interesting game that will tell us a lot. I also think that we're going to find out a little more about the Lorena Leopards this week. I think they showed us something last week, beating Malakoff. But this week you get another, 3A state power in Franklin, who obviously China Springs stepped up and beat week 1. Franklin's probably, not going to want a second loss this early in the season.
Well, it looks like I'm seeing Franklin's record at 0-1. Did they get nixed last Friday?
So yes, they have 2 bye weeks this year. Coach Fannin was unable to get 2 games on their schedule for their non-district slate.
Yeah, I
So,
noticed that as well, which is obviously unusual.
Well, they're not thrilled about it, but they're just rolling with the punches. So,
well, a couple of other games that are going to be revealing type of games, as you mentioned. La Vega continues to play like that, who's who type of schedule as they play West Orange Stark and Nacogdoches. And then the game I'll be at, the Hamilton-Crawford game. Man, Crawford, correct me if I'm wrong, has not given up a point this year.
Straight donuts every game.
Well, and that's going to be another slugfest type of a ball game because Hamilton's a running team. They were a running team last year. That's how they got it done. So my game starts at 7:30, but I still might be out of there by 9.
Hamilton and Crawford traditionally like to run the ball a lot. That's probably one of the reasons you weren't too concerned about covering that game. You figured you could get on the road early. But yeah, I agree. I think honestly, I think that one might be the game of the week. Like I think we're gonna find something out about Crawford because Hamilton had a really good team last year. Obviously, Crawford was down, still was able to squeak into the playoffs. But yeah, if Crawford can step up and make it a game against a pretty good Hamilton team, or even potentially pull off the win, boy, what a start for Coach Robinson there with the Pirates. So
certainly.
Yeah. Well, now the three of us are pretty good about picking games. We pick all the games in Central Texas each week. Generally, I'm better than the two of y'all. I think I'm the reigning champion. That's why I said that.
I think you are the reigning champ, but you opened up an early lead last year, and it was hard to catch you. Well, guess who has the early lead?
Yes, you do have the early lead. It's not a big one, but you do have the early lead. My question is this. Obviously, there are surprises every week. Is there an underdog out there that you're kind of riding with this week, and why?
I hate to say the team I already brought up, but I'm really leaning toward Robinson this week. I do think that when all those guys are on the field, especially on offense, like they're tough to stop. And as Chad alluded to, I mean, Alvarado could kind of walk into that matchup sleepwalking a little bit. I think this is a really good opportunity for the Rockets to make some noise, and I certainly do think they're going to be viewed as an underdog. So that's the team I'm kind of leaning on right now. Chad, you may have someone different, but that's what I'm going with.
No, I was quite the gentleman and let you have that one, and sure enough, you stole my answer. But
yeah.
One thing that when I watched Robinson play the other night, the question I have about them, having watched them play once, is how physical can they be in the trenches? Maybe especially on the defensive side. And this will be a good test to sort of answer that question. But I definitely think they have. The other thing is, can they get their wide receivers involved, and do things that. Now, I didn't get quite as good of probably an evaluation of all that because they blocked 2 punts and turned the game on special teams. I mean, the team they played, Caldwell, was just so bad on special teams, and it was a case of Robinson making plays, but also the team that they played being honestly not very good that night on special teams. And so that can make a big difference in the game, and that can keep you from seeing what a team actually is, And when I look at this schedule this week, kind of what I think about it is that you've got some toss-ups and you've got some underdogs that are real underdogs.
Yeah.
No, that's true for sure. Yeah. And I mean, there's going to be blowouts on the schedule every week. But we talked about this game already. The underdog that I'm going to go with, and maybe they shouldn't be one if, one team's 2-0 and the other one's 0-2, but I'm picking Chilton over Marlin.
No.
And
yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Like, if you I think a lot of people would still look at Marlin as the favorite in that game just because of their records last year, the difference in enrollment, and the fact that Marlin was state ranked just as recently as last week's poll. And Marlin has played a couple of pretty good teams off the bat. So, let's not discount that either. But Chilton seems to be back, and I think that's going to be a really, really interesting game. And I'm riding with the Pirates and Benny Hewitt this week.
Well, so they're older, obviously. That's a huge part of why they're succeeding, but they had a move-in from Colleen Ellison. His name's Marneco Thomas Jr. He's a junior now. He was a sophomore last year. Really good basketball player, and apparently wanted to give it a go in football. And I thought they were going to use him as a receiver. He's super athletic, super tall, maybe even a tight end. He's got good size. Well, he's playing quarterback for them and doing a lot with his legs and with his arm. I mean, he's I've been keeping up with their stats. He's been making some noise, and I don't know how much football experience he has, but I mean, he looks like a real weapon, and that could really turn the tide for them in a lot of those games in that tough district.
If you guys out there listening can find another podcast that's going to give you the impact transfers for the Chilton Pirates, good luck with that, is all I'm saying. This is what you get here on the
We're killing that market.
That's right. That's right.
We're owning it. Yep.
Yeah, baby. All right, let's switch.
Let me just say, I have to give a compliment, and maybe in sort of a backhanded way, but I ran into another media member at the store just now, and I'm like, man, Michael is making my life harder because I'm like, got to call every coach now because he'll call visiting coaches. I think he gets up in the morning and looks forward to calling coaches, Here I am 30 years into the business and I get tired of hearing the same answers every time I call a coach.
I'm fresh on the
Michael
beat,
hadn't
Chad.
heard it all before. So he's like,
That's
hey,
right.
who can I call now?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it that Michael is inspiring you, Chad. That's what we need around here. All right. So this week, Waco ISD celebrates its 25th anniversary. Opened in 2000, September of 2000. And we're going to have some stories coming up to celebrate that milestone. One from each of y'all. Stadium has hosted a lot of big playoff games over the years. It's hosted a fair amount of state championship games before all those moved off to Jerry World. Probably start with Chad on this question just because you've been around longer, but how important has this venue been for Waco and Central Texas? I mean, and then Michael, you can chime in because you're actually doing a story as well. So,
yeah, I think this is an area in life where Waco was a trendsetter and maybe ahead of the curve on things because, we built this stadium. Waco ISD built this stadium, and it was like, it was a little bit before all of these others started popping up. Maybe around the same time. I remember covering games at Birdville ISD Athletic Complex. Back when I was working in Fort Worth, and that was a really nice stadium. And it's about the same thing, a big concrete stadium with a big college style press box. I mean, I don't want to get carried away, but I think when Waco ISD Stadium was built, Baylor hadn't renovated its press box very many years before that, right? And so all of a sudden you had a high school stadium with the press box that was comparable, to what Baylor had just a few years before that. And it's because we're in those press boxes so often, we've been in plenty of situations where you just kind of squeeze in between the guy that's running the scoreboard and the radio team if you can, and all of a sudden you got elbow room. We've always had a little place there with our placard on there at Waco ISD Stadium. And that's talking about the press box. And then, it's also a high school football stadium that can seat, I don't know what, 15,000 people.
I think 12,000
people. And then the other thing about Waco ISD that it had the potential for is to have fans on those grass berms at both ends. And there have been a few games through the years where those were full. And like I said, it was a trendsetter. When you go back and interview some of the stars of high school football in Texas, they remember games that were played at Baylor Stadium back in the 70s and 80s, playoff games. And then some of those started to migrate to be at Waco ISD Stadium. It's also right there, right off I-35, so it was a perfect location. Just a great place for high school football playoffs. And honestly, like, I wish that they had kept 2A, 6-man, maybe even 3A in a stadium like that instead of going to a cavernous situation like AT&T Stadium. Now, I understand those kids get a thrill out of playing there, and that's fantastic. But, it's hard to beat a state championship game at Waco ISD Stadium.
I agree with everything you said, Chad. Well, the one thing I'll add to that, Brice, real quick, I moved to Waco 4 years ago, and the first time I saw Waco ISD Stadium, like, first off, I thought it was incredible, and I think that was the first place I covered a game back in 2022. That was the first stadium I ever covered a game. I would have never guessed it was even 20 years old. Seriously, like, and that's not me trying to just show
it's
some
in
love
good
to the
shape.
local. I mean, so not only was it ahead of its time, because I agree with you, Chad, I think it was clearly built to last. I mean, this sucker, I think it could easily get another 25, probably longer. I mean, that thing, it really aged like fine wine, in all honesty. I mean, we've had good luck over there for photo day. I mean, it's really, the turf is nice, the scoreboard setup's good, the press box is fantastic. Like, you can't say enough good about it. And so I would say, yeah, go ahead.
Let me add one thing to that. They built a beautiful building, a great football facility, and then they managed it well and they handled it well. And they didn't make us in the media feel like we were tracking mud on their brand new thing by coming into it. They let us use it and cover games there. And you go to a lot of brand new stadiums in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I won't name names, although I could, and they act like, well, we built this stadium and you're not going to come into it and mess it up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Chad. And I feel like that hospitality goes even beyond what you're talking about with us in the media. If you take it back to the days of Jack Moss, Joanna Denson, Johnny Tusa, Jack Stanley, and now Ed Love and Rodney Smith and Ed Trocum, Waco ISD has gained a really good reputation as being a hospitable host. And we've done stories over the years about how seriously they embrace that mission. And it's because they know, A, it's the right thing to do, but B, it gets you repeat customers. And they'll go, oh, yeah, we had that playoff game back in 2017 at Waco ISD. Let's go back there again. They treated us really well. And so I think that's one reason why they've been able to host so many games, other than the fact that, like you said, they are centrally located. Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Well, look for those stories to come. So finally, guys, I unveiled the Super Centex All-Name Team in a column that is on wacotrip.com right now. So I sent y'all the link to that. But I also said that y'all could look, back into the past. I don't care. You could give me a college guy. I don't care. Like, what's your favorite name of let's say Central Texas player, either currently or historically? And, was there anybody I missed on my all-name team?
Well, I don't want to nitpick, but Leonardo Leon, the kicker at Gatesville, is a good one that could have been on there.
Definitely. Yeah, that's good. I like Leonardo Leon. That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He's got kind of a Ninja Turtle type name.
My favorite that was on the list was Sincere Robinson from Temple. I love that. That's a good one. In terms of historically, I went back and looked through some of the Super Centex all-decade teams just to see if there were any names that jumped out. Because I again, as I mentioned earlier, I moved to Waco 4 years ago. I don't know as many great names as you two. But one that popped up, Jackson Player. That's a pretty good one. Obviously played at Baylor after Midway. And then I also looked up, so there's some good female ones too. Juicy Landrum, that's a pretty awesome name.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, We all know Juicy for what she did. Mystique Womack, that's a
Oh
pretty good
yes.
one from Marlin. And then
Mm-hmm.
Umoja Gibson. His name means
Yes.
unity, I found out. So
Oh,
that's a pretty, I mean, I've never known someone to be named that. That's a pretty cool name. So those are some of my favorites.
nice.
That now, I think Marcel Estelle at Bosqueville. Not only did he have, it kind of made me think of the mime, Marcel Marceau, Marcel Estelle. But then also, I think he was one of the first people I heard of whose nickname was Cheat Code.
I love that. That's a great
Mm-hmm.
nickname. We're not doing nicknames, but that's still a great
That's
nickname.
a good one.
Yeah. So Chad can remember when Milford was in our area. The Bulldogs are no longer. We've kind of tightened up our area a little bit, but Milford has a kid. He was not on the all-name team because again, we don't cover them anymore, but has a kid who I remember clearly he has to be the son of this guy that was there like 20 years ago, named Swish Washington, which is an absolute fantastic basketball name. The kid plays football too, but
it's like if you're going to write a cheesy novel about basketball, your main character would be named Swish Washington.
Swish Washington would be your character, yes. Let me just list a couple that are on the all-name team that I put on there because, I mean, there's some really good ones. Of course, we know Champ Mayo down in Temple, the quarterback there. I really liked Ace Archer from Moody. That's a pretty good one. Achilles Palomares from Belton. Brock Von Rocks from Lake Belton.
That's a good one.
How about Riker Roach from Groesbeck? I mentioned that, it's kind of weird that he's not at Riker, but Riker has a player named Riker Reddy, which is even better. So
speaking of Riker, though, I like Rowdy Bishop.
Rowdy Bishop is pretty good. That sounds like
Rowdy Bishop
he's
Riker
from Clifton. Let's clarify, he's from Clifton, but you can just imagine like John Warner used to talk about the nun over there at Riker that would get all into the game. Yes. And then you might also have a Rowdy Bishop there in the stands.
Yes. Oh my gosh. John's impression of the nun at Riker was so funny. This nun Michael would get into the games and then she'd be like, "Oh, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph."
I could certainly see Dub doing that impression. That fits.
Yes,
that fits.
Absolutely. Fun stuff. If we missed any, really good names, let us know. Leonardo Leone, that could have been a good one on my part. That's pretty good. Fun stuff, and maybe we'll do nicknames next week. That might be fun. So. Sure. All right, we'll see. Let's talk about where we're headed this week. So Thursday night, again, a third straight Thursday for me. I'll be at Midway and Leander Rouse next week.
I'm actually really looking forward to see what Midway's varsity looks like.
It's a good test.
Yeah, they've played a lot of Thursday games. Yes,
all Thursday. How do you open the season with 3 straight road Thursday games?
Well, go back and read the high school notebook from last.
I know you did a note on it, and I'm sure it's a mere coincidence.
It was so. I mean, I can break it down for you real quick. When Joe Gillespie was doing their schedule, he did have the option in their very first game against Westwood. That was a neutral site game down in Mary Hardin Baylor. Midway was the home team this year in that game. They were the road team last year of a Thursday or Friday. He ended up choosing Thursday on that one. However, he said, if I would have known what was coming, I would have chosen Friday. Both Cedar Ridge is who Midway played last week, and then Leander Rouse this week. Cedar Ridge is in Round Rock ISD, and then Leander Rouse is in Leander ISD. They share stadiums with other schools in their big school district, and they both just drew the Thursday games by coincidence, by chance. And so Gillespie said when we found that out, we went back to UMHB and we're like, hey, can we maybe change that to Friday? And they were like, yeah, we're already booked. So 3 straight Thursday games, all outside of Waco.
Here's the thing. I expect it to be a real carnival atmosphere when Midway actually gets to play a home game on a Friday.
No kidding. I'm looking forward to it myself, I can tell you. So anyway, we got that one Thursday night. Friday night, I will be at that Franklin-Lorena game that we talked about. Chad, you are going to
the Hamilton-Crawford matchup, which we also talked about.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. Should be fun. And then Michael.
I've got the U-Dogs at the China Spring Cougars. So that'll be a fun. Also, I mean, we didn't talk about that game, but that's going to reveal a lot about both of those teams too, I think.
That was a fantastic atmosphere at Waco ISD Stadium last year.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a good game too.
I covered that game last year, and University had to kind of come back in the second half.
It was not easy.
No. And I did not use the tale of two halves cliche in my game story, but that was absolutely what it was for China Spring last week against Bastrop. I mean, it was like literally two different games. And so if they can put a whole game together, could be a fun one against University. I mean, I could see that one maybe producing a lot of points.
Definitely.
I don't see mine producing a lot of points.
We'll see. You do have the makings of a slugfest. So I might too. Franklin-Lorena, who knows? But,
you never know.
It should be fun. Some really good matchups. We'll talk about it on the After Dark later this week. But we'll see y'all at the games.